Welcome back to the Junius Maltby channel. Today we're going to discuss the costliest lie Americans tell themselves. I found two articles today that I wanted to bring to your attention to the channel in discussion, both of which were on current news sites being run. And they're interesting stories with some interesting facts. Any of you who have been on this channel for any length of time know that we quite often harp on debt. Mitigation of debt, staying out of debt, avoiding debt, and all of the reasons that are, in a way, sort of tied to being out of debt, the reasons for wanting to be out of debt. One of my earliest videos ever made that for the channel was kind of on that very subject, staying out of debt and buying gold and silver, how to stay live a more frugal existence and put money away. And it's a systemic problem, it looks like, and I don't think it's just in America. I think this is something that's endemic around the world and is never going to go away. It's a disease, a cancer, a major illness. And the lie that we tell ourselves is, obviously, since we're talking about it, debt. And as you see with this image here, self-deception costs some of us thousands of dollars each year. We'll go ahead and read through the article. You're going to hear a lot of numbers. I'm not going to put the whole thing on here. As I've always stated, I really encourage you guys, after the discussion, to go ahead and read the article for yourselves and kind of formulate some of your own opinions. But let's look at it here. Many Americans lie to themselves about, or at least pretend not to see, how much debt they have. And it's costing some of them tens of thousands of dollars. The average U.S. household now has $129,579 in total debt, which includes credit cards, mortgages, auto loans, and student loans, according to a report released Wednesday by financial site nerdwallet.com, which analyzed debt data from the Federal Reserve. That's up roughly $5,000 from just 2 years ago. So here we go. Americans are deeply in debt. Total owed by the average U.S. household carrying this type of debt on the left, and then total debt owed by U.S. consumers. Look at credit cards, $15,000 average, $15,000. Mortgages, $165,000, and that's the one debt. I mean, really, very hard to avoid. It's the one that I am the most lenient on being understanding towards, is having somewhat of a mortgage. I don't know anyone who was capable of buying a house cash, really, when they were a young person. So it's one of those things that, unfortunately, we have to work off and pay down as fast as possible. Auto loans, $26,530. Try to buy a used car. Try not to spend that much on a car ever. Student loans, $47,712, and I hope anyone who has that loan is really making a lot more money to help pay it down because of the education that they received. If not, that was a tremendous waste of money. Total debt, $129,579. If you look at the right-hand side there, you'll see the nationwide totals. Just look at student loan debt. I mean, $1.2 trillion, and there's always discussions about whether or not that's going to be paid. Could be a bubble. Could cause problems. Not that they necessarily know they have this much debt or want to admit it. At least when it comes to their credit card and student loan balances, the total amount of credit card debt that U.S. consumers say they have is 37% lower than the debt that lenders say they have. And for student loans, it's 25% lower. A study released in October 2015 by the New York Federal Reserve found. So yeah, it's obvious there, and I can tell you, just from when I was a student and had some student loan debt in the beginning, which I paid off as fast as possible, among other things, that I've always noticed if there was a time where I carried some debt, that I always thought it was less than what it actually was. And I'm actually glad to see statistics support that, to know that I wasn't the only one, and I'm sure there's a lot of you out there. Take a moment. Hopefully this video can motivate you to take a moment to logically, somberly, and rationally look at yourself introspectively and kind of analyze your financial position. Maybe this can be a little bit of just a quick mid-holiday season wake-up call so you don't spend too much on gifts that you can't afford. How much do you really have in debt? Write it down. Look at it. I think that would be a huge step for anybody. Is just take a piece of paper and pencil it out accurately, going through your statements to know exactly how much debt you really have and come up with a game plan to pay it off. Because that's the number one goal. I place that above gold and silver, above anything when it comes to your financial health and well-being. Debt mitigation, number one. Currently, the average household is paying more than $6,600 in interest per year, which means that roughly 9% of the average household's income is being spent on interest alone, the NerdWallet survey revealed. Those numbers seem a lot more gruesome when you think about how they might look for someone lying to themselves about their debt, and in doing so, likely not creating a plan to pay off the debt quickly and effectively. So, on the theme of debt that we're discussing here, there was another article that popped up. 1 in 5 Americans will die in debt. That's how bad it is. And you wonder what the effects this can have on an economy in the future when there's so much debt that suddenly is not being taken off the books, not being paid. It will cause problems for financial institutions, I'm sure. Surviving family members usually don't have to pay the debts off from their own money. I wouldn't plan on it. If someone told me that a family member died and they owed hundreds of thousands of dollars, well, it's not my fault, not my problem. You're not going to get any of my money to help mitigate that debt. Many Americans will spend the rest of their lives in debt, as we've just seen. Fully 21% of Americans say they don't think they will be able to pay off their debts, including their car, credit cards, student loans, and mortgages. Again, things we just talked about, in their lifetime. According to a survey of more than 1,000 adults by creditcards.com, that's up from 18% last year. People are losing hope in their ability to pay off debt. And I kind of wonder if this trend, many of you can help answer this maybe in the comments below, where do you think this trend's going? My opinion is I think it's going to get worse. I think as a society, we don't take as much responsibility for our actions as people were expected to in the past. I think it's becoming a lot easier to just throw your hands up in the air and count on somebody else to sweep it up, your mess, and take care of you, to get, quote, bailed out. I think we've seen examples of, quote, bailouts, and a lot of people just anticipate that at some point, well, the government will just get involved and help us. Like there's going to be some miraculous year of jubilee, and that all of a sudden 7 years is going to go by and all of our debts will be wiped clean. That would be great. It would probably be a huge economic stimulus. But there needs to be some safeguards in place to prevent people from getting this kind of runaway debt to where they're going to die with it. We can't bring back debtors' prisons, right? We shouldn't really abuse anyone's rights, and I think people should not be allowed to get into that situation. Anyways, it's sad, it's horrible. One of the articles pointed out, I think it was the first one, when you have that kind of debt, it does things to your health. A lot of these people turn to substance abuse and they have other problems in their lives. I'm sure that, financial problems cause marital problems, which will then in turn cause family problems. I do believe that the family is the core unit and it's the most important thing to have intact, and it's a key foundation stone in civilization. And as we see this debt get away, we're going to see families eroded because of fights and financial problems. Divorce rates will increase and be tied to this. Poor upbringing for children. So if you think about it, the rippling ramifications, the butterfly effect of debt and what it's going to cause is going to potentially crumble civilization. It's going to continue to erode and destroy and eat like a cancer. So it's not just, think of it, you can't just think of it as eating your wealth and your ability to buy more things or your savings. The cancer that is debt is a tumor that is eating and devouring civilization and everything that we hold dear. Our families, our loved ones, our own inner health, our well-being, everything. It is the most evil thing that you can succumb to and allow to really enter your life. Avoid it. Destroy it. Hate it. Fight it. If you don't hate it, if you don't look at a credit card with absolute disdain as a ball and chain, you have to, when you look at a card, when you look at an ability to acquire debt, you have to look at it and see the shackles, the chains that are invisible. You can't see them, but you try to. If you put on some magic glasses, I wish there was a way you could look at it and see the chains that are tied to that card and the weight that it's going to create and the burden upon your life. So I'm going to use this little soapbox episode here on the Junius Maltby channel to try to really drive home to all of you out there what I think is important. It's been a while since I really gave a video, I guess, from the heart like this, from going way back in the beginning when we talked about debt and buying metals, and I shared some personal things with you guys. But I want to really try to just encourage you guys to get out of debt. All of you, every member on this channel, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm not a big philanthropist because I don't have the money to do so. But I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that if I had, the money of Bill Gates or the money of these multi-hundred trillionaire guys, these billionaires, people that have hundreds of billions, I would love to find out the 6,000 members here that are part of the Junius Maltby channel and literally just pay your mortgage off. I wonder what that would even cost. 100,000 times 6,000, what would that be, like $60 million or something? Imagine that. If I had hundreds of billions that I could just pay off 6,000 people's mortgages. That's how much I hate debt. I don't even want to see people in it. I don't like seeing banks get interest. It drives me nuts. Interest. That statement we just read where it said $6,600 a year. That's money that you could put towards your child's education, towards your own education, taking more classes at local colleges. You could use that to do an upgrade on the house, to go on a vacation with your family and build beautiful memories, to buy some more savings, some metals, to help a family member out in the time of need. But that's $6,600. Where is it going, that interest? It's going to mega banks that are part of the apparatus that is the cancer. Avoid the debt, ladies and gentlemen, friends, subscribers of the Junius Maltby channel. Fight it, hate it, and do whatever you can. Spread the message of anti-debt. Thanks for being part of today's channel and episode. I hope you all like, subscribe, and continue on the conversation below and with others this holiday season. So don't go out, spend a lot of money. Don't shop till you drop. Avoid it. Make a card. Tell someone you love them, invite them over for dinner, bake cookies, do something like that. But don't blow a bunch of dough. All right. Have a Merry Christmas, a happy holiday season to every single one of you guys out there.